we're going to be starting our short unit on biotechnology. And so this is I think, kind of exciting. So we spent the first 3 units of the semester talking about lots of different kind of basic ideas in biology. So we've talked about evolution, we've talked about ecology, chemistry, a little molecular biology, genetics. So now we're going to talk about what we can actually do to apply those ideas and make products that are useful for us. And so biotechnology, we can define kind of broadly as the genetic modification of biological systems for human benefit. All right, and so this is going to be a quick unit, so it's only going to be 2 days, so we're not going to be able to cover a ton of material, but what we would like you to get out of this is the following. So a lot of you have probably heard about genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. So if you were old enough to vote in the last election, which I think most of you probably were, there was a proposition on the ballot about whether or not we should label genetically modified organisms in California. So we want you to be able to talk intelligently about what a GMO actually is. We also want you to be able to compare different methods of developing crops. And so GM, or genetic modification, is by far, from being the only method of actually developing crops. So we're going to tell you a little bit about some of the alternatives, and we want you to be able to kind of compare those a little bit. Third, we want you to be able to talk about what are the potential pros and cons of genetic modification in crops. And then lastly, because our cumulative final is coming up fairly soon, we're going to try to incorporate a review of a lot of the ideas that we talked about in the first part of the semester while we're talking about this biotech stuff. There we go. All right, so speaking of review, I'd like you to take a minute or two to think all the way back to January and think about what natural selection is. So write down what is natural selection and then what conditions need to be present for it to happen.